Hey, Love Watchers. Thanks for checking out our video today.
If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.
New videos come out every Wednesday, and the Love Watch podcast drops every Friday, hosted by me, so check it out.
Leave a comment below or on our Instagram or Facebook pages to let us know what we should love watch next. Peace.
Bye.
Hey! You're Rick fucking Dalton. Don't you forget it.
What up, everybody?
Hey!
We here.
Damn it.
I saw you about to say it, too.
I was.
That's my catchphrase. We are here to talk to you about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So, Ricky, what was it like first time you saw this movie, man?
The first time I saw this movie, it was really, actually a pretty awesome experience. Some college buddies of mine actually flew in to Los Angeles to see the movie with me.
Nice.
It was really, really cool. So we actually went and saw it at the Hollywood Theater in Hollywood.
Yeah.
On the Hollywood Boulevard. So it was really awesome to go.
The Hollywood referenced in this film?
Yeah, the Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
The Hollywood Boulevard that you see in this movie quite frequently is where, actually, I think at one moment they passed the Chinese theater in this movie. So I was like, I actually was watching the movie in the Chinese theater while he passed the Chinese theater.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was a really fun experience. The film itself I had a lot of fun with, and it was a really, really fun time at the movies, and it was cool to have my buddies there. So it made it a very special movie for me to look back on and be like, I had a great experience going to see that movie.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Justin?
I love this film, man. I really, this is another one of my favorite films of the year.
Yeah?
It's just so enjoyable, man. It's so much fun to watch, and I think this might be a hot take, but DiCaprio gives his best performance of his career.
Yeah, one of them, if not the best.
What do you got? What are his performances?
No, I personally think this is his best performance.
Yeah.
Although I would put his Wolf of Wall Street performance up there.
It's up there too.
And I also I love his performance in Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
As is one of his younger awesome performances.
Okay.
I really love Catch Me If You Can. It's one of my favorite movies.
But yeah, the hot take is that
he's fantastic. Yeah. He's not only playing a very really, really cool kind of like meta version of like actors and like potentially of himself in the near future kind of thing, but he's also playing these levels of like arrogance and self-centeredness and egotistic, but then also like super insecure. Like it's really cool to watch him go from like being like very full of himself but also at the same time like completely insecure in like a second. It's so quick.
I think that's what we do in this film is we spend time with kind of three different levels of the movie making business. We have Cliff, who's a stunt double and kind of lower on the totem pole. We have Rick Dalton, he has a career as a TV star, but he's never been able to make that transition right. He's not, and he's kind of seeing now a different Hollywood take over. Right. It's no longer the Westerns. It's now becoming more of the free spirit and everything. And then we see Sharon Tate as well, Margot Robbie, who gives a fantastic
the up-and-coming starlet.
And Brad Pitt, of course. And so we see these different levels, and it's interesting. I was watching a behind-the-scenes featurette on it, and you know the amazing scene that DiCaprio does when he goes into his trailer. And
it's so great.
Improvised.
Of course it was.
Totally improvised.
Of course.
No, I mean they didn't even have it in the script. It was.
Oh my god.
The scene where he's having his meltdown on set when he just can't get the lines right. He kind of convinced Quentin, like, I think this really has to be bigger, and this guy has to be just, like, really reach this point.
On the edge.
And then Quentin was like, that was so good, but that means we need something more. We need to drive that harder, so I need you to give me a Travis Bickle scene. And so that's what he did. He went in there and gave him a Travis Bickle. And, it's interesting, man. That's why he's such a great character all throughout.
Yes, he really is. It was really... I mean, we have three of like the biggest stars in the world, Leo, Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie, all at the top of their game in this movie. Really. I mean, obviously, Brad Pitt won the Best Supporting Actor for this film. So I mean, and he deserved it. He was really great and added this like cool factor to this whole movie.
Yeah.
He was
Cliff
so
Booth is
cool.
Such a just cool dude.
Yes,
but he's also someone who murdered his wife potentially,
allegedly. Yeah. Question: do you think he murdered his wife?
I was thinking about that as I watched this time.
Because it's important. Because they put it out there so much in the movie, and they never tell you.
I don't know how he would have gotten off of that, especially if they were it seemed like they were framing it like he killed her that day on the boat, and I'm like, so she goes out to sea with him and doesn't return. How is that? How is anyone proving their innocence off that?
Well, innocent until proven guilty.
True, but I think all signs would point to that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the thing.
We see that you're missing a harpoon now.
Yeah.
Like
your wife's gone. Yeah. You don't seem to care.
You had drank this many beers. Yeah, no, I think he would have gotten pinned for sure. I don't
so
know.
So you're saying there's no way he did it?
I'm saying I'm
at least what they showed us.
I'm saying I would need to know if there is a different time that she was murdered. If the idea is like that was just showing us like how she nagged him. And then there was a different time.
He does that look at the harpoon gun.
Yeah,
it's so good.
His whole character is so
awesome.
He is just a cool guy. You want to have that Cliff Booth vibe, minus the potential wife killing.
Wife killing. You don't want that.
Not trying to justify that. That's terrible.
You don't want that.
But he just got a cool vibe.
I really like this movie. You're right. I watched it again just last night, just freshly, and it is just really, really fun and enjoyable. I think sometimes it just ran a little long for me, certain shots and things like that. I think were overly drawn out for not a particular purpose. There was that one moment right in the beginning of the movie where Cliff picks up Rick from his house, right? And we're kind of in the car and we're zoomed in on that poster of Rick, or that painting of Rick. Yeah. And it's just a smile. And it stays there for a good 20 to 30 seconds. And it's just and then it slowly pulls out, and then they get in the car and they go. And maybe this is just me not understanding what the purpose of that was. But I was okay. I get that it's kind of cool to pull out and then have them get in. It's visually stylistic, but I didn't see the purpose. And I think that there were lots of those types of moments throughout this movie where stylistically it was cool, but I think it added to the runtime of the movie, and every once in a while I found myself being I want to get to seeing more of these guys and less of these trappings and ornamentation. You know what I mean? Because really, for me, this movie is all about these characters.
I don't think that necessarily is the case for Quentin, and I don't.
I know, and I know this is just a personal preference, taste type of thing.
Well, the case against this film that a lot of people had was that what's the point? What is the point of this film? It's just it seems long. It does seem why should we invest so much in these characters? And it's really his love letter to 60s Hollywood.
Yeah, it very clearly is just it was a passion project for him. It very much feels
kind of
very something maybe almost I don't know, it felt more personal.
Yeah,
than a lot of his other films do.
So apparently he plays a huge part in creating the film, not just directing. And he just knew what songs were on the radio at the time, what posters were where, what the storefronts looked like. So yeah, he was very invested. And I wonder if it reminds me of how we're sold nostalgia a lot. And people, I just think it's funny that people complain about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because it's just him being nostalgic. I'm that's every movie we get now. And they, at least Quentin's we're going back to the 60s. We're going to revel in the 60s.
Well, also,
they're not hey, here's Ghostbusters,
remake. People get judgmental about nostalgia when it's something they're not nostalgic about. If someone was coming out with a film or a remake of a movie to a movie that you are nostalgic for, you're excited about it. But
I disagree.
You don't think so?
I disagree. I think, maybe this is just me, but when I heard they were doing new Jurassic Park movies, I was no, I don't like that. I'll go see it. I like Jurassic Park, but I really am nervous that you guys are going to nostalgia train this up, and thus far they kind of have. Oh,
sorry. We're popular on YouTube now. That was a YouTube comment.
I don't know if that was you or me, but
that was me.
Cool.
A YouTube comment. A new YouTube comment. You guys are commenting while we're making the video.
Yo.
No, I get it. I think for me, I really like this movie because for me, it was all about the characters. The characters were so awesome. Some of my favorite characters from a Quentin Tarantino movie ever. Like Cliff and Rick, I think are two of my favorite Tarantino characters that he's ever made.
Yeah.
Especially in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I would put these guys over anybody in Hateful Eight, anybody in Inglourious Bastards, anybody, mostly anybody from Django. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, looking back, like, these guys are two of the best characters I think he's ever written, in my opinion. And also, some of the most real characters he's ever written. Tarantino has a particular kind of hyper-stylized type of thing that he does in his movies. These characters felt like they could be real people to me.
Yeah. Well, and they are, right? I mean, this is very much looking at them behind the scenes as opposed to just telling a story straight out. And, like, the job DiCaprio does of playing the kind of hammy Western villain, but then breaking into the sad actor who can't quite get it right, is just incredible. And Brad Pitt, when he smokes the cigarette, and especially when he first notices it, and he's kind of like pointing to his dog, and then he just follows his hand for a minute, just kind of follows it around. He's so good. And when he's laughing at the Manson guys, oh my gosh, it's
we'll get to that last really scene, great. I'm sure. I think we should reserve some time specifically for that
absolutely. I do want to talk about the nostalgia factor for him, because I do think there is a statement he's making about where we're at in Hollywood now, and part of this fairy tale ending that we get is him wondering how would the landscape of Hollywood be different.
That time it was him.
That time it was me. Would be like, how is the landscape of Hollywood different, right? Because there's a scene where DiCaprio is talking to the little girl, and what book is she reading?
Oh, I don't remember.
She's reading a book about Walt Disney.
That's right.
A biography of Walt Disney, and gushing about how great of a man he is. And what is Rick Dalton reading? He's reading a small, personal cowboy story about loss, kind of a more artistic, if you will, more personal story, and literally comparing it to Disney, which is now running our world and kind of and making movies that a lot of them are really fun. But I mean, we've had some of these famous directors like Scorsese come out and say that the movies are just kind of theme park rides; they're not actual cinema. And so I think this is Quentin kind of long for that time where movies had a little bit more freedom to be artistic, to take risks that aren't just calculated, that aren't, we're going to put this guy in this role because he's going to net us this amount of profits. We're going to make sure that we include this in the movie because that has more profits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting though. I mean, but I don't know if that's necessarily true, because I think we get a little bit of that in this movie. Really? With Al Pacino's character. You know, Al Pacino comes in and has that meeting with Rick right in the beginning, and he's doing this. Like, he like lays it out. He's like, they're doing this to you, like they've done this to this, and they're gonna do that to you, and they like, it's like kind of like, even back then the studio system was like, had their people and they had their little formula and they had their little track, and like, okay, we're gonna take you, we're gonna put you there, and then once you get to a certain point, we're gonna start putting you here against these people. You know what I mean? They had their like stable of actors that they would go to for specific things.
But what about like the story themes? Like,
no, that I can agree with you there.
I think there was more range for directors to have their own say. I mean, that was the time when, like, you know, Ford Coppola was basically saying, this is what's happening in this movie, this is how much we're going to spend on it. I'm Francis Ford Coppola now, so you're going to effing do this. And there were lots of directors that had kind of more power in that way. And now, again, with these kind of modern ones, I mean, look at Star Wars, the very last movie, right? That was such a, we are going to get all the numbers right so we can hit it as close down the middle as possible. We're going to piss off everybody, but we're also not going to totally enrage everyone. It's going to be just kind of a very basic scene.
We're going to make sure nobody's happy.
Yes, exactly.
Everybody's going to be a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, and I think that's Tarantino longed for that. It's why I also think it ties in a little bit with The Irishman, because I think The Irishman is also Scorsese looking back at his career and saying, like, yeah, like I do kind of miss this, and I do, you know, the days are gone now, and now I'm a little bit older, and I think he like fell asleep at the Oscars, if I'm not mistaken. He's an old man.
I didn't know that.
He's an old man. Like, what's he gonna do? And yeah, I think some of our great directors that are getting a little bit older. Tarantino's not as old as Scorsese, of course, but starting to get up there and look at the industry now and how, I mean, it's just so many superhero films, right? It's so many of these big budget CGI films, and they're wondering what happened to their Hollywood.
Interesting. That's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah, that makes sense. For me,
debate me.
No, I know. No, it makes sense. Sorry. I don't know. Like, for me, like, when I watched this movie, I kind of struggled to pull a lot of things out of it for me. Because, like, I don't know. Like, for me, like I said, I'm locking into these characters, and I understand these people really, really well. And I love the story that's playing out. But I'm struggling to find, without just like, pulling something from my own perspective and like mapping it on, like, I'm not sure, I don't want to map something onto this movie that I don't know exactly what's going on. You know what I mean?
That's what film analysis
I know
is, dude.
But for me, for this movie in particular, other than the fact that I love that it is a fantasy. Like, it's called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So like, immediately it's like, Once Upon a Time is the first line in every fantasy story, right?
I do think, I don't know how you feel about this, but I know the fact that it comes up right at the end after everything happens, that really put the whole thing into context for me. Because I was just like, oh, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's a catchy title, I guess, so cool.
Yeah.
But when it happens in that way at the end, did you feel that way?
Yeah, well, I think that was what made it more palatable for me. So, like, a few people I talked to after this film felt a little raw about Sharon Tate, right?
Yeah.
There is this argument to be made about you using Sharon Tate in this movie in the way that they do. I think it was done very tastefully and very respectfully. Too, yeah. There were lots of really great moments where, like, they used actually Sharon Tate's footage in that Wrecking Crew clip instead of superimposing Margot Robbie's face on there. And just expecting, like, you know what, everybody, you know that Margot Robbie, you get it. Margot Robbie's Sharon Tate, but we're gonna keep Sharon Tate's face. Yeah. Like things like that, I thought was really tasteful of Tarantino. But the idea of, like, I don't know, centering this movie around those murders and that horrific event, I think rubbed some people the wrong way. Even though the family had given their expressed, approval and things like that, and got to see the movie early and approved everything. Yeah, people are sensitive, and for me, what makes this movie okay, not solely, but like what I would say to somebody that felt a little bit raw about it, I was like, well, because this movie is a fantasy, this is more of like, hey, like, look, this is a world now where she can live on, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's totally him recognizing her. I mean, I'll be honest,
yes.
I was not I didn't really know. I know that the Mansons murdered a woman named Sharon Tate. I knew nothing of her, though, other than that. And so I know more about her now.
Right.
And I
Like, and so, it's like, you know what? Tarantino just created a universe, if you believe in, like, multiverse and things like that, or, like, even, like, spiritual kind of thing. He created a world where she is still, like, alive.
I don't know if he even thought about that deeply. Maybe that's the case.
And it's kind of like, or like, in a way, it's like, this is where the story actually begins.
Yeah.
Like, by putting the Once Upon a Time at the end, it's like, you guys just watched the story before the fantasy.
The prequel.
Right. You got to watch the story that set up this new fantasy world. So his
next film's going to be called The End in Hollywood.
The End of Hollywood?
I'm actually going to see it.
The End of Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really understand why people had critiques on that. I know some people had problems with the fact that she didn't have too many speaking lines, I guess. But to me, like, one of the most pleasant parts of the film is when she's watching herself on screen and just like, like a child
with her feet up.
Yeah. Lots of feet in this movie.
There's a lot of feet in this movie.
Yeah.
If you guys didn't know, Tarantino loves feet.
Yes, he does.
I had to say it.
You sure did.
And I did.
So, it's one of the most pleasant parts from watching herself, and she's just childlike in her joy and hearing other people laugh and, like, laughing with them. And it never comes off as, like, a cocky, like, I'm so funny. It's just like, yeah, this is so cool. I'm, like, living my dream, kind of. And yeah, Margot Robbie is so charming.
She's very, very good.
Yeah.
So there were a handful of... So Rick and Cliff are both fictional characters. They're not real. They're not based on real people. No. But then we had our mixture, our kind of mix-ins of actual people. A lot of it being Sharon Tate, Roman Polanski. What's the name of the songwriter that... or the other guy that Neil Hirsch played?
JC something.
Yeah. So there was that whole group there, right? And then also, like, we had the Manson family, and we even had a moment of Charles Manson.
Yeah.
Something that I wanted to ask you is, this movie is kind of, not on purpose, but was kind of sold a little bit on being like a Manson movie, in a way. How do you feel about Charles Manson only being in, like, one clip? Like, literally, you only see him very, very briefly, and then you don't ever see him ever again.
I really didn't feel like that was the case. I thought that was the internet making it more of the case.
Well, I know, like, they even showed the clip of Manson in the trailer.
Yeah, because that's a part of it.
I know.
Like showing, would you rather than just show, like, these deranged kids? Like, no, you show Manson because he is a part of the story, but I don't think it seems to me when I watched the trailers again that it was very clearly like, yeah, they're a part of the story as well. We're going to be dealing with the Sharon Tate murders at some point, but this is really more about these guys. It's kind of, I mean, the trailers, it's similar. There's like, the same percentage of Manson in trailers, the same as the movie probably pretty close.
You think?
Yeah, it's really, I mean, like just the Manson like references.
Okay.
Not him.
Not mathematically.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I didn't really have too much of a problem with it. And I think it's better, man. Like, do we want to give this guy screen time to potentially be a character that we're like, he's kind of cool, actually. That guy, like, played him fun.
For me, it felt like a way of illustrating his power over people. As far as, like, the way he acted, he was a puppet master. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't have to ever be... We don't even see him on his ranch.
Yeah.
We see him once in the hills, and we never see him again.
Yeah.
But yet he's still orchestrating all this other kind of B story that's going on underneath everything without ever having to see him do anything. And like that for me showed that
he doesn't orchestrate a B story.
No, I mean the whole like all the stuff with like the ranch and all the and then
I don't think
kind of this catalyst at the end.
Like the only orchestration I think he has is the end,
right,
where he's sending people out to do it. But like the ranch, I mean, sure, I guess he had them there, but the whole interaction with Cliff, I don't think he's.
Oh, that seems so good though.
Yeah, I think we should talk about how Tarantino is really like a master of tension.
Oh, that scene was so intense. It was so good.
Yeah,
I thought something was going to go down there.
I don't think he's really thought of that often in that sense, but I mean, he really is, and that's something that is looming over this film the whole time. Is that we know, okay, that's Sharon Tate. He's showing us the Manson family. Like, this is all coming. I know it's coming. And
I almost thought that this would have actually wrecked the movie for me if this had been what happened. I thought that what he was setting up was that Cliff going to that ranch and doing that is what causes the murders. Like, they find his car there and they think he's in that house.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, if this movie does that, I hate that.
I thought they were going to kill Cliff, and I was like, don't you dare.
Well, that's why I thought. Well, I thought they were going to do that too. But I thought that I was like,
I didn't think
if he causes the murders, that upsets me.
I really did not think that he was going to have Sharon Tate die in this film.
I know. I didn't think that either.
I just that's not his way, and like he does these revisionist history movies, right? With Django, with Inglourious Basterds, so. I was like, there's no way he's going to have a pregnant Sharon Tate get murdered in this movie at the end. Like, he's just not.
No.
But yeah, the scene when he's there and he just won't take no for an answer and he keeps going to see his friends and, gosh.
Bruce Dern.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
Spain, I think is his last name.
And what's so funny, right, is that he is having this almost real Western moment, right? Walking through the town.
It's kind of a showdown.
A little bit. And even the way he shoots that interaction between him and the red-haired girl, where we're just now getting like these kind of weird Dutch angles on him and the girl too, to kind of increase the tension and show the power dynamics. Really great stuff. But so he's going through this Western case, right? And meanwhile, his the actor, because he's the stunt double, is going through a fake Western. Yep. So you have the stunt double doing a real Western and the actor doing a fake Western at the same time. And
it's good. It's so good.
It's nice stuff.
Yeah. And even like Timothy Olyphant coming in there for like one little kind of sequence was great.
Yeah.
He was so good in that little role.
They had so many people. And even in that ranch scene, it's a ton of like name actresses that we know, and also just like daughters of famous directors.
Oh yeah,
and,
like Kevin Smith's daughter was in there. Dakota Fanning was the red haired girl. Yeah. Oh my gosh, just so many people in this movie.
Yeah.
I think Ethan Hawke's daughter, Robin, played one of the.
You think Cliff Booth really cares that she's not 18? That was the one. I'm like, I don't think Cliff gives a shit. I don't know.
I think he does care.
I don't think he does.
I think he does. No. Then why do you need to do it?
Because they had to have that in the movie to like dictate that he didn't.
So you're saying you just don't think?
I'm just saying, like, Cliff does not strike me as this guy who's like, that's where I draw the line. Like, he doesn't strike me.
I don't know. I think there's something about Cliff that he's rough around the edges. He's a little blunt. You know what I mean? Like he's very upfront. He's not gonna bullshit you, but like ultimately he's a good dude. You know what I mean?
I mean, he murdered his wife.
Allegedly.
We
don't know. But even then, they like the way if that's the moment that like that little clip that we get is when he murders his wife. It's still kind of like in a weird way, like,
oh, buddy, I'm learning something about Ricky.
I don't think he murdered his wife, and he seems like he cares about a lot of people. He cares about his dog. He cares about Rick.
I don't think we're supposed to actually think that they're good guys, like Rick and him. I don't think
Rick's a good guy.
I don't. But I think it's okay to still like them and see their complexities and see that they, you know, Rick has obviously had this career, so some of his egotism comes from that, and yet he is still insecure. And I don't know.
Well, I don't really see Cliff do other than allegedly killing his wife. We don't know.
I mean, even before he finally tells the girl, "No, you're not 18." He's been eyeing her the entire time.
Right.
Clearly, she's young, and he's pretty old, and
that's fair.
There's some.
That's fair.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't strike me as a guy who's like, yeah, that's where I draw the line here in the free love 70s or 60s. Yeah, just saying. I'll nitpick.
Sure, you can nitpick all you want.
Let's go to unless you have something more to talk about.
Oh no,
grand finale.
No. Let's see. Did I have anything other specific than that? No, I did want to talk about that ranch scene because that scene's so intense and so good. And then when he comes out and the tires are slashed and he just loses it. Oh,
kind of, right?
Yeah.
That's what's so cool about him is he really doesn't raise his voice too much, except when he tells them to back up or he'll knock his teeth out. But he just punches that guy and sends him flying. Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
It's such a good scene.
Yeah.
Oh, loved it.
Yeah.
And I had a new appreciation for this movie having lived here now because like. He like Booth lives all the way up in like the valley, so like he's in Van Nuys and stuff, and like he got off at one of the exits that I used to live by and things like that. So like I was like, oh, like I can drive that same highway all the way home kind of thing, and it's kind of nice to see things that you recognize. And not to mention how hard they had to have had worked to remove all the contemporary stuff from LA.
Yeah,
like they had to bust their butts. I'm sure there are mistakes.
I don't think so, man.
I could not. I was actually looking.
They did like 4 blocks. Yeah. And so,
I was actually looking and I didn't see any. So I'm like, I was pretty impressed that like there was like no anachronisms whatsoever.
Yeah. What do you think about the Bruce Lee controversy of this film?
Yeah, about like how they treated Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
I think again it is a case of a little oversensitivity.
Yeah, I agree.
Because for me, it's like. Bruce Lee was just a human being. Like
he was a cocky dude.
Yeah, he was. He was really cocky. He had a bravado about it. But also but also like he was one of the best fighters in the world. But that does not mean that he could not have had a fight.
I think what we're seeing there too, I really think that scene is supposed to show us that he is an unreliable narrator. I mean, I don't think he actually threw him into a car. I don't think that actually happened. I mean,
right? It is a story.
And you see how like in like the 3rd round, right after Bruce Lee gets him, he throws him into the car, and then they come back and he is like he's not just fighting Bruce Lee, he's owning him. He's like blocking everything, hitting him back. I mean. So yeah, it seems to me a little bit like, okay, this is, and also all the people that were watching are gone, right?
Right.
So it seems to me that we're just setting up, no, Cliff is kind of an unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
You can't trust him all the time.
Yeah.
I thought it was a bunch of hogwash.
Hogwash. I think I was like, no, like how many Bruce Lee, like, how many times do we portray Bruce Lee in movies ever? Never. Right? We never see Bruce Lee.
So we might as well perpetrate ourselves.
No. What I'm saying is like it's kind of the same thing with like Sharon Tate. Like you learned a little bit about Sharon Tate because you watched this movie and fell in love with this movie. You're like, okay, now I want to know more about Sharon Tate.
Yeah.
It can be the same thing with like Bruce Lee. It's like Bruce Lee also is kind of a badass in this movie. Like he comes off as cocky, but he also kicks some butt. You know.
Yeah.
So people who don't know who Bruce Lee is that will watch a Tarantino movie can be like, oh, who's this Bruce Lee guy? Was that a real person? And can introduce people to his
see later too, like being very kind with Sharon and teaching her the fight moves, right, in her little flashback. So yeah, I thought it was much ado about
right. Yeah, and he's like I said, he's a human. He was not perfect. You know, like, I don't know what people want. Like, not every real life person has to be treated with such reverence all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. And it's not indicative of the person. Like,
it's not.
Movie. With the Mansons, the finale, where it is drawn out so well. We've been waiting for this the whole time. We see that the boys are both very drunk. Cliff has that cigarette that's dipped in acid, right? So he's going to be feeling loopy. It really does. The second time, it's a little bit different because you know what's coming. But that first time, I remember just feeling like, oh God, no, this is like,
it's going down.
What's going to happen here? What's going to happen?
It was, you're right. The movie, because here's the thing, going into the movie, you know that it's leading to this moment.
Yeah.
This movie is leading to this crucial moment. And you're like, as soon as Rick starts interacting with him, you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
Oh no. And like, you're like, something's gonna happen. It's all gonna go down now.
The red-haired girl's looking at me and goes, what are you looking at, you little ginger fucker? I just love that. It's so good.
But then what makes it even better is then he goes and puts his headphones on and gets in the pool, and so he doesn't even know what the heck's going on.
No idea.
And so like you're like, oh no, he doesn't even know that they're there.
Yeah.
And
just watching how Cliff deals with everything happening around him, all with this big goofy smile, and he has that moment where he's just cracking up, and the Manson killer gets to say that famous line about like, I'm the devil, I'm here to do the devil's bidding, and he's just like, no, your name's stupider than that. It was Rex or something. And then just like the cathartic.
For me, it was the can to the face.
Yeah, that was.
When I was in the theater, I just had an audible, just like breakdown of laughter.
That cracked.
I was just like, oh my God,
funny.
This movie.
And then just the dog biting the guy's nuts and just like everything. Yeah, the moment when Cliff looks down and sees that he's been stabbed and just looks at this poor girl who's about, not a poor girl, fuck her, she's a Manson killer, and just bashes her face, and oh my God. Yeah, and one of my favorite moments is Rick coming out with the flamethrower that they set up way in the beginning of the movie. Yeah.
But him talking about how, I actually used that flamethrower. They had to teach me how to use it, and that is a terrible weapon that you don't want to be on the other end of.
That was improv too.
Oh my God!
When he burns it, he goes like, "Whoa!" So anyway, we could. He was actually like thrown off by how hot it was, and so he improv that line about, "Can we do something about the heat?" It's a flamethrower.
And I love the moment. Like he goes into his shed and he pulls out an actual flamethrower.
And they play the score of that movie too, right?
Oh, so good, so good. Such a great moment. And you're right. Just pure catharsis.
Yeah.
Of like, because everybody in the theater wants those people to die.
Yeah.
Everybody.
And we kind of, especially I'd say even more so the fact that they then decide, you know what, let's go take out Dalton instead. That does lead us to like, oh, okay, what's going to happen then? Because we know the original story, and they're pivoting now.
Now it puts into a realm of...
these two guys don't exist, so it seems like you would be able to just take them off.
Right, it puts into a realm of now who knows what could happen, because now we're off of actual history.
Yeah, I just thought that was fantastic.
So good.
Do you think the last one who gets burned, you think she's going to look back on that in a couple of years and just be like, I think I screamed a little bit too much. Maybe a little bit too much.
The actress?
Yeah. I don't know if that was the direction, but it's a lot of screaming.
It is.
I've never been...
That whole scene is a little bit much, but like, you want it to be that much at that point. That's like Tarantino's been very restrained for this whole movie.
Here's the much, and she's like, here.
You don't think... I feel like Tarantino's a pretty perfectionist type of director.
Yeah.
So I think if he didn't like it, he would have asked her to do it again.
Yeah.
Or at least ADR.
And even in the pool when she's like just thrashing with her. I'm just...
Or at least do the ADR different.
Yeah. No, I've never been attacked by a dog and had a can thrown in my face, so maybe that's just...
Maybe she's just in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to overdo it there.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was a choice.
Yeah.
To, like, be like, no, we're just going to go all the way with this.
Yeah.
Like, because it almost is like a big, like, F you to those people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like a spiritual, like, seriously, like, fuck you.
It's like, I mean, it's like everyone's saying, like, man, if I could just get my hands on it.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like,
and that's what I think he wanted to just turn it up to, like, 12. You know what I mean?
I remember when I saw Taken, and I'm not a huge fan of the movie, but it's alright.
I enjoyed Taken.
It's fine. My dad, though, like, really loved it, and he told me, son, like, when you have a daughter, you'd understand. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, if someone took your sisters, I would do that too. I'm like, Dad, you wouldn't.
And they
do not have the skills.
You do not have a particular set of skills.
You do not have a particular set of skills. You would get to you would land, and then you'd be lost. You would never find them. You would never find them.
Did you tell your cell company you're going out of the country? Because they probably shut down for your service.
But that's what it is, right? It's that, like, this is what I would do if I get my hands on that, like, look.
And then it's like, Dad, but then what about me?
Yeah. No, I said, no, I'd let them take it. I've been trying to sell you for years.
My parents always said that if I ever did get kidnapped, they wouldn't be worried because they would bring me back because I talk so much. They'd be like, we don't want him. He's too much. He's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So, any other thoughts on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Any Joe Grizzlies? Joe Grizzlies.
It's so tough because I just
so much good stuff.
I'd say the little girl actress. I think
she was really good.
Yeah, she's
for
fantastic.
Me, same.
She's supposed to be Jodie Foster as a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or she's some famous actress, and who apparently that's how she was as a child.
Very precocious.
Just super. Yeah, like, oh, I'm an actress, so I don't want to eat before my take because it makes me sluggish, and I think if you could be even like 1% better, it's your job to do it. Like whoa, she is on it.
Ugh.
I also think that's a reference, though, to Cliff, I think, or not Cliff, sorry, to Rick Dalton, because I think part of this moment for him in his life is recognizing maybe I haven't always worked as hard as I could have. Maybe I haven't always.
He's gotten away with being kind of a mediocre.
And now my chances are running out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
For me, same realm of the movie, same part of the movie, but Timothy the Olyphant's character. He was just so.
Watch that show?
Yeah, I would totally watch that show. You know what I mean?
I do love when DiCaprio is learning his lines and he has recorded the other person's lines.
Spanish.
No, the best one is when it's like, oh, si, senor, and he's doing these like terrible racist voices. Or he does like the little girl's voice on too. Yeah, it's
really funny.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I've done that same technique too, where I've recorded the other lines and done it like that.
I think we've all done that for a while.
Yeah. I thought Timothy Olyphant just coming in there playing this like new, not even young. Like Timothy Olyphant's not like young, so like the fact that he's like superseding Rick's character is like you're not that much younger than him.
Way out.
Yeah. But I thought he just played that so well, and that scene for them is so good because it's like there's such a meta-ness going on with like, okay, so we're watching the making of this TV show, but we know the actors, and we know that they're acting, and we know that this is them shooting it. It's like there's just like such a meta thing going on that makes that moment so much more fun.
Yeah.
Of like this is actually them shooting this, so it makes it really fun.
Although if that is the case, it's edited already, and like we're pushing it. Yeah,
I know.
Nitpicking.
I know. But that's what I think it was funny because it's like, okay, they're doing it.
Yeah. So when you think about this movie, when someone just brings up like, hey, you ever see that movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? What's the first scene or thing of it that comes to mind?
The first thing that comes to my mind is the end.
The end?
Is the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me it's Cliff Booth laughing with the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's my very first thing is the can to the face.
Yeah.
It's just that visceral like pop that it makes when it hits that person's face, and because my reaction to it in the theater was just so like spontaneously like surprised.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I did not think that's where this was gonna go.
Yeah. Good call.
So that moment, it brings me back to that moment when I was in the theater with my buddies. And we were, at the Chinese theater, just that can hitting the face, and I was like, like, this is great!
Yeah.
This is what we came for, buddy! A little Tarantino!
Well, I think that's it for us.
Yeah. Hey, Love Watchers! Thanks for watching our video today.
If you like it, be sure to smash that like button, give it a big old thumbs up, and subscribe to our channel.
Yes, new videos come out every Wednesday, and then the Love Watch podcast hits on Fridays. Check it out.
And leave a comment below or on our Instagram or Facebook. Let us know what we should love watch next. We'd like suggestions. Peace.
Bye.